Welcome to the College Basketball Pub Hub right here on Pub Sports Radio, Saturday, January 28th. Ian Cameron, Conor, Mac, Daby, Cab. We're here as we always are on a Saturday and ready to break down a massive college basketball card. We've got an interesting card today. It's a huge slate. They do this every year. It's the middle of conference season. Yeah, we'll just stick a random SEC Big 12 Challenge Saturday in there at you. And that's what we have today, a lot of SEC versus Big 12 non-conference matchups right in the middle of conference season. I don't know why they picked this time of year to do this shit, but it is what it is. Let's get started with one of those SEC Big 12 matchups to get it started. Auburn and West Virginia. We've got West Virginia 4-point home favorites, 142.5 being the total of this game. When you look at this matchup, obviously West Virginia has had kind of a rocky season, kind of an up and down season. It looks like they're giving this team a little bit of respect, a little bit of credit here in terms of home court specifically. I mean, you look at the situation here involving West Virginia. I know they're at home. They've been pretty good, but on the road, they have been a little bit shaky, Auburn. So maybe there's reason for it, but certainly Auburn's had a solid season. West Virginia, keep in mind with their season, they've lost a lot of close games. I mean, they're 12-8 and Auburn 16-4. But you look at West Virginia, so many of their losses, they've been right there in the game. 5-point loss to Baylor, 1-point loss to Oklahoma, overtime loss to Kansas State. So this team easily could have a better record than what they have so far. Auburn obviously did not play well at home against Texas A&M. They got bombed 79-63. They will be looking to bounce back here. We'll see if they're capable of doing that. But the fact remains that when you look at this Auburn team going on the road, will they be able to get the job done? They had one bad road game at Georgia. Other than that, though, they have covered each of their last three road games. We'll have to see. Obviously, they're going to have to take care of the basketball. Turnovers have been more and more of an issue lately for this Auburn team, and that could fuel West Virginia just a little bit. This is a tough game for me from a side perspective. I'm not going to be involved with it. I think the move up in the total makes a little bit of sense, especially after what I saw from Auburn defensively. It is an early game, but I think I could make a case for the over. I would certainly lean that way. What do you think here, Conor? Auburn, West Virginia.
Yeah, I'll be quick. We got a shitload of games. I think this is West Virginia, but I don't want to lay four points with this team. I just don't trust them enough to win by 5, so I don't want them. And what are we going to get from Auburn? Kind of some good wins, but against, South Carolina, LSU, and then the bad loss at home to A&M. Yeah, I'm off here.
I'm gonna do the same thing today. I'm going to try and not take as long on games that I'm not on, that C-Mac's on, especially with how many we got. But he touched on it. Auburn has won some games, okay? But, their strength of schedule, where it's at 63rd, which isn't terrible, they really have played the lower part of the SEC if you want to look at their wins. Whereas West Virginia, they've got the number 7th rate strength of schedule this year. They've been playing tough teams the whole year. I just think West Virginia is the more battle-tested and ready team for this game.
Right, we got Louisville taking on Notre Dame. Notre Dame 9.5-point home favorites, 138 the total. Look, this is obviously two teams that have had a rough go of it of late. I mean, Notre Dame, to be quite honest, they've completely fallen apart. I mean, other than a win against Georgia Tech, they've been dreadful here in ACC play. They've lost 4 straight. It's really difficult to trust Louisville as well because, they are on a 9-game losing streak. They've, believe it or not, and look, it's not like you're getting tons of bargains with Louisville from a point spread perspective, and yet they've still failed to cover in the last 3 games against North Carolina, Pitt, and Boston College. So, it's very, very difficult to recommend, a play on Louisville. But in an ugly game like this, you just take the points and hold your nose and pray. I think that's what you got to do in this game. I don't love the game at all, but if I'm going to throw a lean out there of any kind, maybe I might even bet Louisville small because Notre Dame laying 9.5 to anyone feels kind of like a joke right now with the way they're playing. So I kind of think you have to take Louisville or you pass this game with them getting 9.5 here. Conor, what do you think?
Yeah, you telling me this team that's lost, 8 in a row or whatever? Both these teams suck. But you want to lay, 9.5, 10 with Notre Dame? No way. I don't know if Huntley Hatfield, I think he plays. He hasn't looked very good anyways the last few games. He hasn't scored. and they struggle to score. We know on the flip side, Notre Dame's been really good to the over. I do know that. I really don't want the total here either. So I agree with you, but man, I think you hold your nose and man, take Louisville. But we got a shitload of games, so that's on you.
Certainly better ones than this. Cab. Oh, here we go. First of many.
Okay, yeah. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it, but just on like C-Mac said, plenty of games. I'm not fucking betting this trash game. Yeah. But just like devil's advocate against Louisville is just their offense has been so bad. Number 321st in effective field goal percentage, 46.6%. Terrible in turnovers, shooting just 32.3% from three, 45.7 from inside the arc. And I'll wrap it up quickly. Notre Dame, as bad as they are, can shoot the ball a little bit, so I could possibly see them still pulling away. Not betting this shit game.
There you go. Nothing wrong with that. Boston College and Virginia staying in the ACC. Virginia 14-point home favorites, 123 is the total here in this one. Boston College, they've won 2 in a row. Now, granted, the 2 wins were against the 2 fucking terrible teams we just talked about, Notre Dame and Louisville, but still, I mean, 2 victories in a row, 3-point spread covers in a row for Boston College, including a 8-point loss as 14-point dogs at North Carolina. Virginia's playing well, 5 straight wins for them coming into this game. Been strong at home, where they've won each of their last 3 in conference play, 9-1 on the season at home. We'll see if Boston College can hang around here in this game. You know, they might be able to. I mean, you look at last year's meeting, it was 67-55 for Virginia. And the year before, 61-49 for Virginia. The year before that, 78-65 for Virginia. So Virginia's won all 3 games head-to-head, the last 3. But all of them were 13 points or less margin of victory. And you're getting 14 here with a Boston College team that's, started to be an undervalued commodity. So I think BC with the points is worth a look here. Conor, what do you think here? BC, Virginia?
Yeah, and this was more. I mean, this is what, 15 and a half or so last night. I thought it was just a few too many, too. BC playing better. They got a score on a Virginia defense, though. That's the big problem here. But both teams are slow. You just don't think of Virginia, even though they could win by 20, kind of blowout. They'd win probably on their defense, holding them to 55, 60 points. I think the points are kind of valuable here with BC, who's been playing a little bit better basketball. It's just not one of my favorite looks.
And by the way, you are going to get slow down pace both sides here in this game.
Oh, yeah.
By the total. So possessions are going to be few and far between. And the way I see it, you got a total 123, and you can take 14.5 points, with at least a capable team like Boston College. I think definitely that's worth a look here in this one. And the over, I think, Clark, is an interesting point because Boston College is trending that way big time over the total. And the last meeting got to 122. This total's it's going to be tight, but 123 with Boston College over the total for their last 5 games. So keep that in mind. And they've actually been trending that way over the total lately. Virginia's gone over in each of their last 2. And those games got 130 and well into the 140s against Virginia Tech and Wake. Although, again, there was the North Carolina game, which only 123 in that game, and it stayed under. And North Carolina's not a bad offensive team. They don't play slow. So it's kind of a conundrum. But the number I see right now, it's leaning slightly to the over, Clark. I can understand some interest in that.
Listen, Virginia, too, hasn't been great against the number, even though they're 9-1 at home.
That's right. No doubt about that. Cab, what do you think?
I think I'm going to unmute my mic before I speak. I don't think that I would not do anything but take Boston College here. As bad as their offense has been, they've been better of late. They've been putting up more points of late. Like you guys said, they finally got that road win. They're 1-5 on the road now, beating Notre Dame, which isn't much. But we're not asking them to win. We're asking them to cover 14, or is it? It was 16 at one point, wasn't it?
Yep.
Has it come down to 14?
14.5. Yep.
See, I mean, I would have liked it better. It's obviously, that sounds stupid. I'm not in the business of chasing numbers, especially when we have so many games to bet. So, I mean, if we could maybe still get a 16, I'd think about it, but I'm not doing it. And Virginia's been amazing at home. They're 9-1 this season at home. And in all of their conference games, they've allowed 68 or fewer points. So even though their defensive numbers are a little higher than that on the season, in conference, Virginia's been locking down. So, yeah, I'll leave it at that.
All right, Minnesota and Northwestern now in the Big Ten, 12-point home favorites for Northwestern, and the total here sitting at, it looks like, 128. And this total's gone up just a little bit here in this game. And certainly Northwestern, when you look at the way they've come out of their COVID pause, which is what they had essentially prior to their last few games, Northwestern, for the most part, pretty solid. Back-to-back wins and covers against Wisconsin and Nebraska. The offense has been pretty good. They are trending over as well, 5 straight going into this game. Minnesota's kind of the opposite, though. I mean, I understand from a Northwestern perspective why the total's gone up, but I don't know if Minnesota's going to dance with them because this team offensively has lost. I mean, 4 straight losses, and they haven't cracked more than 60 points in those 4 games. Now, the schedule's been tough. I get it. Illinois, Purdue, Michigan, Indiana. It's a pretty tough, rugged schedule. This one won't be nearly as difficult. We'll see how they fare here in this one. I'd like to take the points, honestly, with Minnesota, and dare this Northwestern team to win by margin. I mean, Northwestern has 1 win by more than this point spread all season in the Big 12. That's it. A lot of their wins, or 2 actually, if you factor in the Nebraska game. But boy, Minnesota's had these games where they've hung tough against some decent teams, and then they've had some games where they've just been absolutely blown out and they lose decisively. So too much of a mixed bag to get involved, but I do lean Minnesota a little bit. Connor, what do you think?
Yeah, I just think it's you just don't want to. I just don't want to lay points with this Northwestern team. They're a better team. I just think it's too many over 10 here. It's just you got to take Minnesota, who is either going to stay in the game and have this real slow. That's why this total, it's moved up a few points. But, I'm definitely not running to the over in this one. And that'll keep them close, I think. Or they just have a horrible, because they're such a bad shooting team, they'll lose, by 20 and probably score 45, maybe 50. So it is a little bit of a shot. The road team's been good, in the series. I think the points still are value here for a little bit. So I lean Minnesota.
All right, Cab.
So this is a situation where it's like, again, we have so many games today. I've got 7 bets, which I know, Ian, for you is a small card.
That's small potatoes.
For me, 7 bets is a lot. This is just a game where, I mean, I agree. As bad as Minnesota has shot the ball, they've covered a couple spreads for people lately. And Northwestern is good at defense. That's what they lock down on, is defense. So I know that matches up, but I don't see, with this many points, I don't want to lay it with Northwestern. I don't see them covering 12, 13 point type game because it's just not the type of games that they play. They play close games that they win on defense.
Yeah, better defense, and they're not great offense. I know they scored a little bit lately, like you mentioned, Ian, but this team, isn't great.
Yeah, they're no good on offense. Yeah, they're not.
No.
All right, good stuff. All right, here's a better game. Xavier and Creighton here in the Big East. We've got Creighton 5-point home favorites, 158, I should say, is the total here in this one. Great matchup this is, no question. Creighton now returning home, looking to avenge a loss earlier this season to Xavier in what was a great basketball game, 90-87 a couple of weeks ago for Xavier, defeating Creighton. We'll see if Creighton can return the favor here in this. Xavier's actually beaten Creighton 4 straight times. So, and covered 3 of those 4. But it does feel kind of like a Creighton spot to bounce back here. They're only laying 5 at home. They beat Providence in their last home game. They crushed St. John's 104-76 earlier this week. They won and covered against Seton Hall, beat DePaul by 15, destroyed Butler. I mean, this home court is living up to its historical reputation in terms of how strong it can be. Creighton's been very, very good at home. I'd lean Creighton here a little bit. I know that series history is daunting. Xavier's won 4 in a row, which means, hey, shouldn't you be taking the points? But they're not. They're playing at home like a team I don't want to step in front of right now, this Creighton team. So I'd lean with them in the revenge spot, -5. I have to lean over as well with this game. I probably will bet both Creighton and the over here. I mean, it was 177 points when these teams met back on January 11th. 158. Somehow, some way, it seems these Xavier games go over the total. 161 against UConn, way over the total against Georgetown. Creighton's last game against St. John's, a team that will play fast like Xavier will. that flew over the total. So could only look over, even with a high number, 158. And I think I will defer to the home favorite in this one. Conor, what do you think?
Yeah, this is where Creighton's been better and they shoot it better. That's why even with this total, I think it could get over. And you mentioned Xavier, 15-5 to the over? They've just been an over machine. They've been good on the road though. This team can score. So, and they've had their number. So I don't know. I know this is a Creighton spot. They've had trouble with this team. I don't know. I think the points maybe could creep up. We'll see. This one's tough for me. So yeah, take it away, Cap.
This is so for the people that just like, I guess, what do you call it? First look and you see this line and you want to hop all over Xavier. We got to look at what's been happening lately. Also, I know I give out a lot of numbers and numbers are what they are. But lately Xavier is giving up 79.4 points per game in their last 5 games. That's a fuck ton of points. That is not very good on defense. Whereas Creighton on the other side is only allowing 65 points per game in their last 3 games. I know it's just a small sample size, but Creighton has had the better defense of late, and this Creighton offense is electric, man. 77.7 points per game. That's good for 54th in the country. They dish the ball around well, 14.5 assists. I mean, I can keep going on to the numbers, but they've got a good offense. I think there's a reason why you've got an unranked team against a ranked team laying so many points. They want you to bet Xavier right here. So.
Yeah, real quick. Creighton, obviously the better defense, but Xavier hasn't really mattered. They're just outscoring you. Maybe they finally have the bad shooting day on the road because it hasn't really happened. One team, second in the country, over 40% from 3. I don't know. I think I'd be leery of that. They can drop it from deep.
Yeah, definitely. It's been, and Solly Baum's been an outstanding player. They got him from UTEP. They got Zach Fremantle. I mean, that's an excellent offensive team, Xavier. But their defense lacks, and that's the one thing. Creighton can play some defense. That might be the difference here when you look at this game today. And I like the spot here for Creighton. They're trying to avenge a tough home loss where they almost took Xavier down at Cintas Center. I think they have a chance to return the favor here. All right, NC State, Wake Forest. Wake 3.5-point home favorites, 155.5 the total in this one. Look, this is a perfect example. Some of these Saturday games, you got to bet it overnight or late Friday because I really like Wake here, but one up to 3.5. But I agree with the move. Wake at home, I think, is worth a look. I was impressed with the way they played, albeit falling just short against Pitt earlier this week. It was a great game.
I had the money line instead of the plus 3.5.
Wow. So you did with the points, you mean, with Wake in that game?
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt. Yeah. Dumbass.
Oh, yeah. That's
go ahead.
Hey, that's okay. Sometimes you look for the better value, right? If you go money line, but sometimes it'll pay off for you not taking the points, and sometimes it won't. So depends on the game. But a tough loss. I mean, they battled. They hung in there. They gave themselves a chance and just couldn't get over the hump against Pitt. But now they're back home. Where they played pretty well. I still like Steve Forbes, very good coach for this Wake team. I think they get the job done here. Numbers gone up a little bit. Don't love it as much at 3.5, but I still think Wake. I actually still think you can take them at minus 3.5. I think they can win this game by enough of a margin. As far as the total goes, I ain't thinking of anything but the over. You're going to get pace on both sides, especially NC State. Keats plays a little full court press, a little up tempo. Wake has been trending heavily over the total. So even at a high number, 155, you ain't seeing me betting Wake under. It's over for me here as well. Conor, what do you think? Wake hosting NC State.
I forgot someone put that in the chat. Yeah, he played that first game, I'm pretty sure. Cockburn. I think he was back. He had 15. Yeah. He was in that game. This is stretched out a little bit. This total's high, but I think and NC State's played to some unders, but I think it probably gets over too. I don't know if I'm on this really. And I just don't trust Wake with the defense. I mean, they are at home. I do like them. But all these numbers, 270, whether it's, 222 field goal percentage, 3-point, 251. I don't know. This is just a watch for me.
All right, good stuff. What's interesting too, they have struggled to defend and they play fast. And I think those two things are going to fuel Wake, who can burn them, I think, at the other end transition points. And I think that could be a difference maker here. Cab, what do you think?
Let me talk myself into Wake here real quick because I wanted to jump Wake instantly. And I can't, it's not fair to hold it against them last game because the line was plus 3.5 and I took the fucking money line and they lost by what, 2? They cover for me if I fucking take the points. Wake did their job last game. I didn't. Okay. So I'm gonna go over some trends here really quick, even though that's usually not my thing. NC State 4-10 ATS in their last 14 road games, 6-25. And their last 30, I don't care about this, 37 on the weekend. So usually they don't show up on the weekends for the big days. That's kind of what you can take out of that. I just really, it's more of a gut than numbers here. I think Wake runs away. I think they spread the court out so well here that even though NC State has the ability to shoot it, we've also seen NC State go ice cold at times. And I think if Wake spreads them out enough, I think Wake wins this. And I might end up betting Wake at some point before the end of the show.
No, Clark too doesn't help out. He's a solid role player guard that I think that's going to hurt.
And they've been running a little too hot without him, right? Like there's no way that they keep it up without him because I agree he's one of their players that's just the loss of him is going to show that impact is going to show sooner than later.
Yeah, sometimes without a key player, you get everybody pulling up the bootstraps and doing a little bit more, and that sometimes can get you through at least a game or 2, 3 games, but you're eventually going to find a time when, hey, you need, one of your better players on the floor. Next up, all right, we've got Texas Tech, LSU, another SEC Big 12 challenge, one of many today that we're seeing here. We'll see how this one plays out. Texas Tech, a short road favorite here. You know what? I have to look. To me, if you told me before the season, all right, to just forget what they've done, forget the records to this point with Texas Tech and with LSU, you would have told me that Texas Tech would only be laying this number against LSU. I would have jumped on Texas Tech. Okay, and I know Texas Tech has underachieved big time, but I think when you compare the relative strength of both of these conferences, you have to give the edge to the Big 12 in terms of depth. In terms of quality depth, one from the top to the bottom, I think it's with them because there's some shit teams at the bottom of the SEC, big time, horrible teams. So I like Texas Tech a little bit here as a road favorite. I know, they've obviously had a tough season. This actually might be a step down in class for them because they've had a brutally tough schedule in the Big 12. They might actually say, you know what, we're actually punching down in weight class here against LSU, who aren't very good. I'm just going to keep it simple. I think Texas Tech better coached, better, I think, overall roster. I know they've had their struggles. They've took their lumps, but they've taken their lumps against a brutal Big 12 slate. I think this is a weaker opponent from a weaker conference top to bottom. Short number. I'll actually just take minus 135 here on the money line with Texas Tech. I think they can go on the road to Baton Rouge, get the win here. Conor, what do you think?
Yeah, I'd lean Texas Tech, but I don't want even them. LSU's just been horrible. They can't make any shots. It's just such a struggle to watch this team. Man, ugly. Yeah, I think Texas Tech is better, and I think they win here. So whoever wants to bet them, go ahead. Lay the 2.5.
The schedule has been insanely tough. I mean, West Virginia, Kansas State, Baylor, Texas, Iowa State, Kansas, TCU. I mean, good luck trying to win. That's like all the best teams in the Big 12 right there that they've faced. I think there's a nice little cheap buy low spot on Texas Tech. And by the way, putting LSU in a pick 'em price range right now against anybody is dubious because all they've done is get blown out every single game lately. What do you think here, Cab?
Man, I think you guys touched on something that I'm gonna hit home with later on with my bets that you're gonna see is today's an exciting day, and don't get it twisted. These teams from the Big 12 and the SEC, they're excited to play each other. Like this is a fucking cool day of basketball right now. Like we've got a lot of really cool cross conference games from arguably the best 2 conferences in basketball. I'm not having that argument right now, but but you said it. The SEC's lower teams this year just kind of suck. Like I think the Big 12 is the better conference. I know this isn't the time for that conversation, but basketball wise right now, if you ask me SEC, Big 12, I'd say Big 12. And you're going to notice that the SEC is favored in every one of these games almost that I have it down. So we're looking into it, man. I think you're right. I think Texas Tech, I think this is a low enough line to where, I'd really feel more comfortable with the Raiders here against an LSU team that just is just a far cry from what they were hoping to be and what they were. That loss to Arkansas was just pitiful. Arkansas is reeling right now. I'd Texas Tech or pass.
All right, there we go. Next up here, we've got Alabama, Oklahoma. Yeah, another good one here. SEC, Big 12. You've got Alabama, 5.5-point road favorites, 146.5 the total in this game. Total's interesting. I kind of lean a little bit over the total, and the betting markets agree. I remember Alabama played a Big 12 SEC game. I think it was last year, and the game flew over the total. I think maybe some people remember that. Sometimes you're not as locked in defensively when you go out of conference, and maybe that happens again here. So I'm not stepping in front of Alabama. I think I said that a few games ago, and they've been a point spread machine until their last game against Mississippi State, where they won, but they finally did not cover. And it was actually a relatively close game in their last game. Let's start there. I'm not betting against Alabama. I'm not. Just won't do it. And especially Oklahoma's kind of had their issues. But you're stepping out of conference, you're going on the road, and you're facing a team that's desperate. This is a desperate home underdog because they know, they've got to put a signature win on the board. The tournament hopes are falling apart for Oklahoma. Whatever hopes they have, they've got to put everything into this game, all right, against Alabama. And you're going to get 100% max focus, max effort from the Sooners today. Now, whether that's good enough against, I think, the much better team, I don't know. But that's what's going to keep me off Alabama. I think Oklahoma, whatever best they have, they got to show it today because they need a big win and a good win in the worst way. This would be that win. Conor, what do you think here?
Yeah, they just got blown out against TCU that last game. I think they are desperate. If Alabama brings their A game, they win. But I don't know if that happens. That's what's keeping me off this altogether. Oklahoma just struggles. They don't want. I wouldn't get up and down with this Alabama team. They're screwed. They too. They need to slow it down and play defense here. And I don't know if they can. Alabama, number one on the boards, offensive. So they're the better team. I'm off. I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't want this.
Yeah, exactly. The one thing too is
that's one of the funniest things I've heard somebody say.
They're a decent defensive team. Its scoring's been an issue for Oklahoma. They're going to need that defense today, big time, to hang around in this one. Cab,
I could see him be in it. They were in a lot of close games until that blowout.
Yeah, that's Oklahoma. True. That's true.
C-Mac said it. It's who shows up for it. Because, look, here's what Oklahoma can't do is they can't really put up points. They're averaging 67.3 points per game, 52 points in the last game. If they put up 52 points against Alabama, they're going to lose by fucking 20. Like, you understand what I'm saying? So that's just – it's like, does Oklahoma score? And Alabama – I know I just went on my Big 12 fucking SEC rant, but Alabama is – they genuinely – whether they finish as one of the best teams in the country or not, we'll see. But right now, they are easily one of the best teams in the country, if not, the best team in the country. I wouldn't say the best. I don't think talent-wise they're the best, but they've played outstanding. And I definitely don't want to get in front of them. If I had a free bet on this game, I'd take Alabama in the first half, not betting it.
All right, next up, we've got, as we continue along, Marquette DePaul. Marquette here on the road, laying 9.5. 152.5 the total. I mean, certainly when it comes to these two teams, the over is what I'm looking at. So I like the total over. The side, I'm telling you what, DePaul is, I don't want to say DePaul's very good, but and they did lose to Georgetown in their last game, which was not very good. But the one thing we've seen out of DePaul here lately is they've been a little bit better in terms of competitiveness. They have wins against Xavier and Villanova. They barely failed to cover against Providence on the road. Georgetown on the road, they had the loss. But at home, look what they've done. Beat Villanova, covered as dogs against Seton Hall, beat Xavier outright as home underdogs. Be careful laying 9.5 here on the road with Xavier, or with Marquette, rather. Marquette, lost at Xavier in their last road game. They did destroy Seton Hall in their last game, but they got Villanova coming up on deck. It's just not the spot for me to want to lay 9.5 with Marquette. I think DePaul might cover in this game. And like I said, from a totals perspective, the two meetings last year between these teams, 163, 171. That's how many points were scored. So that's why I like this game over the total. I think DePaul plus 9.5 is not a bad side in this spot. They've been covering numbers at home lately. Hey, they beat Xavier at home. I think they can hang tough with Marquette. What do you think here, Connor?
Yeah, I think they can too. Marquette's just been so good, especially to me all year long. But this is not a spot I want to go lane 10, today. It's just not one of those. I agree, though. I think there's points. I think this gets over the total in this one. And DePaul playing a bit better. I know they did lose to Georgetown, and they seem to play better here at home, so I think they got a shot.
All right, Marquette, DePaul, Cap.
Yeah, I love that we got because first off, I've always said this. I love how both of you guys cap, and some of the times, I'm still learning. I'm a little bit more on the favorite side, but I don't put my money where my mouth is with this because I'm not betting. It's what CMAT said. Marquette has been good to me, and I've got to get over recency bias. I have to start learning how to do that because they've been covering for me, and I think this 10 is too much, so I'm not betting it. I'm simply not betting it, but DePaul can score. They're above average with the 147th ranked offense in the country, 8th in the Big East. Whereas on the flip side, we know Marquette has one of the best offenses in the country. So maybe take a look in the total. Marquette just struggles a little bit from 3, but when I say struggle, they're still above average. And their defense is, just slightly above average. I might look at a total as an over here instead of a side, but I'm not on this game either.
They should get 85 right around there if you just look at the numbers, just how bad DePaul's defense. They've been a little bit, I guess, better lately. But
you think it could get over here if you leaned on it, if you had to take a side on the total?
Oh, yeah.
Both
This ain't a lean for me. I bet it already.
You've already bet this over?
Series history is over, and
right.
This actually looks a little low for these two.
I'm going to start keeping, and I already do, but I'm going to keep my totals record before I start going official with it. I'm going to start betting it with the smaller unit and keep it and see if I can start betting them too.
160 and 170 in the last 2 meetings. This total's only 152.5. So definitely, I think it's over the total for me. All right, we've got Iowa State, Missouri. Back to another SEC Big 12 matchup here. Iowa State, 1.5 point road favorites, 141 the total in this one. This kind of looks like the one spot where I might be interested here in a home underdog. Definitely with Missouri. Missouri's very good at home. Iowa State, I love them at Hilton Coliseum. On the road, not quite as much. They do have a win at TCU on the road, and they beat Oklahoma, but Oklahoma's kind of had their struggles. They lost to Kansas and Oklahoma State. They were right there, but they lost. And all I know about Missouri is they're very good at home. And, other than losing against Alabama, who are a terror right now with the way they're playing, they've been remember, they blew out Kentucky at home. They have a win against Illinois close to home as well. It wasn't a true home game, but it was close to a home game for Missouri there. Definitely, I think Missouri's the side I'd look at here in this one. Iowa State favored on the road. We'll see how they fare. Again, these two teams actually met last year, believe it or not, and Iowa State was at home, and they pummeled Missouri 67-50. They are the better defensive team. There's no question about that. Missouri, excellent offensive team, so it's a classic matchup in that regard. But I think the one thing you want to factor in here with Missouri here is it could come down to free throw shooting. They are tremendous at the free throw line. Iowa State, not so much. And that's something you have to factor in as well to what's a very close point spread here to a pick 'em. And so I like Mizzou just a little bit here, plus 1.5. A smaller bet, not one of my stronger opinions, but I do have a small play Missouri here, plus 1.5. Connor, what do you think?
Yeah, they are at home, and they do have the scores, with Brown. But to me, in the end, I'm not going to bet this game, but Iowa State, to me, better defense, that's who I want. Missouri's defense is just horrible. All they have to do is win, and they are at home. That's why, in the end, I'll be off.
All right, Cab.
I got you. So on this one, leaned hard on it, haven't bet it. I agree with both of you, which is why I haven't bet it. And it's crazy because my numbers when I like a first half and then a full game and the side switches are actually not bad at all. They're above 50%. They would be positive. I'd take the points, like C-Mac said, because of the defense with Iowa State in the first half. I love that. I'd take the points in the first half. I think by full game, Missouri probably pulls away and wins at home. And I know that's, sounds kind of crazy because I just gave you both sides, but it's just, it's just kind of how I feel about it. I can give some of the numbers on it, but I haven't bet it, and we're going to try and keep it rolling. So just know I have a ton of numbers to give. If anybody in the chat wants to hear something, you just put it out there, and I got you. Otherwise, I'm going to keep it rolling if I haven't bet it.
Yeah, Dennis Gates, very good coach. Like that, what is that song? Ice Cube and E40, Behind Gates, Heaven or Hell, Mansion or Jail. Yeah. Gates is a good coach. Yeah, very good.
Let's go.
All right, good stuff. All right, next up, we've got Cincinnati and Houston. Houston, 13.5, 14-point home favorites. 133.5, 134 the total in this one. Houston got it done for me. I said, look, Houston, you're never going to get bargains with them. Everybody knows how good they are, how talented they are, well coached, everything, great defense. But I figured that was the spot to back them. After the loss against Temple, come back strong against Central Florida. They did. They won, barely covered, but they did. 82-71 in that game. See if they follow it up here against Cincinnati, who beat South Florida in their last road game. And they've had a couple of good road games. They've had a couple of not so good road games. We'll see if they can hang with Houston here for a couple of halves. Houston's dominated this series in that they've beaten Cincinnati 7 straight times. They've covered against Cincinnati 8 straight times. And you see some of these victories, 18, 22, 37, 13, 13. It feels like the line's in a good spot, but there's not been enough success for Cincinnati to trust them. But I got my Houston win. That was the perfect spot. The number wasn't bad. I prefer to bet Houston on the road, honestly, than at home. At home, they're laying a bigger number. And on the road, not so much. And they can go on the road and get the job done. They're a veteran, experienced team. So Houston against UCF was the spot, the price, the number to bet Houston. I don't think today is, so it's a pass. And I want nothing to do with Cincy here because they've been blown out repeatedly by this team. What do you think here, Connor?
Yeah, I don't want this game at all. They've owned Cincinnati. They go in 20 here or 13, like I think it was last year. One of the games. I don't want it. Just pass.
Yeah, which means Cincinnati covers barely. Exactly. So that's why I think it's a good pass. What do you think here, Cab?
Obviously, Houston's probably been the favorite in most of their last matchups, and the favorite is 7-0 ATS, the last 7 meetings against these two teams. So there's a trend that backs exactly what you guys have been saying. You guys know I ride Houston. I was on Houston against Cincinnati last game, cashed. I loved it. I had them split last game, which fucking sucked. I don't know if you saw it because halftime they lost with like a 1 second fucking UCF missed both free throws. So I was like, yay. And then they got the rebound and dunked it with 1 second.
Yeah.
So I didn't cover, but I did cover full game. So I split. So it's cool. So, I'm all over this Houston team, And if I had a free bet, of course I'm going to take Houston here, but this feels like too many points. And the few times this year that I have laid off Houston and said that, they haven't covered. So maybe I need to start being able to bet the other side because this feels like a little too many.
All right. Next up, we've got Illinois, Wisconsin, Big 12 or Big 10, I should say. Illinois 2-point road favorites, 131 the total in this game. I'm on the road favorite here. I'm on Illinois. I mean, I've soured completely on Wisconsin. This team pisses me off. And then it was the Northwestern game. They really pissed me off. This Wisconsin team. I just don't think they're very good offensively. If Wall's not cooking for them, they're not doing anything. I know they're back home, and obviously you have to pay some respect to Kohl Center and Madison. But even their home record lately hasn't been great. They lose to Michigan State at home. They failed to cover against Penn State. They won by 3, but didn't cover in that game. And they've gone now on a brutal 0-9 ATS run in their last 9 games. So they've been burning money for their backers. I think Illinois is revving up at the right time. I think they're starting to play better basketball. The last 2 road games, albeit not the greatest competition, they waxed Nebraska and Minnesota. They've dominated Wisconsin. They've won 5 straight. They've covered 6 straight against Wisconsin. Yeah, give me Illinois here. Money line in this one. Illinois money line, by the way, is right around minus a 125. So there you go. Illini for me. Connor, what do you think?
Yeah, they've just owned them, and that's better Wisconsin teams. I mean, Wisconsin, like you mentioned, 0-9, just has lighting money on fire. No way I want them here. And watch, they'll probably come to play today. I don't know. That's why I don't want this game really at all. And Wisconsin, for the most part, good to the under. This team can't score. It's just they're, in the 300s, basically every category. It's just a struggle to watch them get to 60. So unless shots are dropping for them, I don't want anything.
All right, Cab.
fuck, man? I'm gonna have to figure out my unit if I'm gonna start betting like Elon. Mally Mal, shout out to our guy. He said Illinois double up spot. You're on Illinois. I like Illinois. I want to add Wake Forest. If I'm gonna start adding all these games, I'm gonna have to figure out my unit if I'm gonna start betting 1,000 games a day like our guy Ian here. But I think it's the play, man. I like Illinois, and I like what you're saying. And C-Mac said it. Wisconsin can't fucking shoot, and Illinois is averaging 75.8 points per game this season. That's good for 83rd in the nation. They collect 39.2 rebounds per contest, which is good for 27th. So they hit the boards, which we always want to see. They're 51st in the nation in defense, only allowing 64.3 points per game, which is important when we're looking at a Wisconsin team, like C-Mac said. 323rd in the nation in scoring offense. It literally doesn't get much worse than that. They're putting up 65.8 points per game. Wisconsin, 31.3 rebounds. So they're going to get out rebounded this game. Like, it's just everything lines up for Illinois. And I think I'm probably going to have to bet Illinois also. I haven't, but I think I'm going to have to.
All right, there we go. Like in Illinois as well. All right, we move along here. We'll try to pick up the pace. We still got a lot of games. Duke and Georgia Tech. We've got Duke 9-point road favorites, 137.5 the total in this game. Look, obviously Duke is on the road, 1-4 straight up, 0-5 against the spread. So look, I want to preface this by saying Georgia Tech really, really sucks right now. Okay, so I understand why people are supporting Duke to some extent. But I'm on Georgia Tech, and it's a hold your nose special. But Duke, sorry, you're 0-5 ATS on the road. I have no problem fading you when you're laying 9 points on the road. I get it. Georgia Tech hasn't been good, but I trust Duke even less on the road right now with the way they've been playing consistently. So I know Georgia Tech's been dreadful, and that's why I'm keeping this small. But hold your nose, fingers crossed. Take Georgia Tech plus 9.5. So I'm on the Yellow Jackets here. Ugly underdog. This is. What do you think here, Connor?
Yeah, I mean, that's where I lean is Georgia Tech. Just right now, Duke, how can you want to back this team on the road, lay in to almost 10 here? No way. Even with Roach back, yeah, I don't think he hasn't looked great. I don't want him here. I want nothing to do with this. I'd be on the dog or pass, but Georgia Tech's looked horrible. Maybe they come to play today. So good luck.
The last time Duke made the trip here, they lost 2 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Never count it out. What do you think here, Cav?
I've been waiting for this, and maybe it's not going to happen, okay? Because we got a new coach. We got a new team. I get it. But I've been waiting for Duke to, God, it sounds so stupid to say, have some kind of value because of how much they've been fucking everybody, basically, and how bad they've been playing. I still don't think this is a spot. But is this number still at 10, or has it dropped? Where
9.5.
Yeah.
9.5. Yeah, it's still too high. It's still too high. I was going to say, if I could get like a 7 or an 8, I would look at Duke maybe in the first half, probably. I think at some point Duke's got to turn some kind of corner, but they haven't shown it to me enough yet. So I'm off this game. I don't want to go too deep into something that I'll just fucking come out.
They suck on the road.
Yeah.
They're just horrible.
Yeah. They
just can't get it done.
Yep. All right, Arkansas, Baylor, SEC Big 12 once again. Baylor 6.5-point home favorites, 143.5 being the total in this game. Baylor, of course, starting to rev things up. That's what I was looking to say. Yeah, they've won 5 in a row, covered 5 in a row in Big 12 play, and now they take on Arkansas here in this SEC Big 12 Challenge matchup. These two teams met last year, of course. Or 2 years ago, rather, I should say, in the NCAA tournament. 81-72 it was in favor of Baylor, winning by 9, of course. That was the year Baylor won the national title. We'll see if Arkansas has any payback in them here in this game. On the road, though, I'll tell you this. LSU, a bad LSU team they lost. Auburn lost. Vanderbilt lost. Missouri lost. They're 0-4 straight up in ATS last 4 road games, Arkansas. So my initial lean's Arkansas plus 6.5 because I think there's things they can do to frustrate Baylor here. But Baylor's rolling. The track record for Arkansas on the road hasn't been good, so I think I'm going to pump the brakes and pass on my lean toward Arkansas here. And to be honest, Baylor, again, in their form right now, I'm even more reluctant, I should say, to go against them. What do you think here, Connor?
Yeah, Baylor team total. I think they're rolling. I'm staying with Baylor. I took them first half, -3. I think, Flagler, Cryer, they look really good. I want them, and I think they keep rolling. And I don't trust Arkansas on the road, really. Still, those guys are out. So, yep, give me Baylor here.
And again, scoring has been an issue for Eric Musselman's Razorbacks at times. And if they have trouble scoring here, are they going to be able to, keep this Baylor juggernaut offense in check for 40 minutes on the road? I'm not so sure. What do you think here, Cap?
I think that we finally did it. Now, I'm not saying that we C-Mac and I agree all the time, but we just aligned. I'm on Baylor first half here too, man. I have to be. And I've been somebody who's stayed with Arkansas longer than I should, but Arkansas on the road, this year has just been terrible. I want to go into some of the other numbers with Arkansas real quick. So they're putting up 75.1 points per game. That's 101st. I'm going to go just a little bit longer, but I'll be quick. Baylor's putting up 79.4, shooting 45.2% from the field. From three, they're 89th, shooting 35.8, which is pretty good. They're grabbing 32.2 boards per game. They move the ball around well. They're 15.7 assists per game, 32nd in the nation. That 32nd in the nation would be a fuck ton higher if Cryer wasn't out for a few games. I've said this over and over and over again. The assist to turnover rate is important for this team, and it's been going up since Cryer's been back. Arkansas on the other side, 75.1 points per game. Like I said, 101st. They shoot the ball well, 47.7%. But that's all, all from two. From 3-point range, this team sucks. 30.8%, which is 320th. And like I said, Baylor crashes the boards. They're going to be aggressive down low. They're going to force Arkansas out in this game. And I think if they can force Arkansas out to the perimeter, this Arkansas team's going to be busted where, they're only 127th in rebounds. And I already said it. Baylor's one of those teams that, so you know how I said I was looking for Duke to turn that corner to bet on? Baylor turned that corner for us, and I've been on them since they turned it, and I loved it. Kentucky has turned that corner for us. Yep. Now, different story for later when we get into it, but like some of these bigger teams, like they should turn corners. I just don't know if Duke will do it. I got Baylor first half here, also at 3. So there you go.
All right, there you go. Liking them in the first half here, Baylor against Arkansas. All right, TCU, Mississippi State, another SEC Big 12 matchup here. TCU, 1.5-point road favorites, 132 the total in this game. I mean, look, the only thing I can think of here is TCU's flat TCU, but you can't use that argument. They're flat. They're supposed to be flat maybe the other night against Oklahoma because they had just gone through a gauntlet where they beat down Kansas. They beat Kansas State. They beat a lot of good teams in a row. That was the night to be flat. And they destroyed Oklahoma earlier this week. There's so many people I know that bought into the letdown spot for TCU after the Kansas win, and they just steamrolled Oklahoma. I'm not buying into it either here. And if anything, you go on the road, you want to show yourself here on the road in a Big 12 SEC Challenge matchup. And to me, they're just the better of these two teams. I think it's that simple. So TCU money line, -125. I'm on the Horned Frogs here. Silly of me to because I've been on this team a bunch, and I stayed off it because of the fear of a letdown against Oklahoma. We just didn't see one from them. I mean, they're just so excellent. Well, I'm getting Mike Miles and company, great backcourt, excellent so offensive team, fun to watch. I think they win on the road here. Cap, what do you think?
I think I'm excited as fuck, man, because now I just aligned with you. And, anybody who's watched this show knows that I'm usually out there on a limb a little bit with my marquee games and stuff, but I got C-Mac on Baylor with me. I got you on TCU with me. I might look into it and rebet the money line just to be safe. I got -1.5. I swear to God, if they find a way to lose by 1 or win by 1, but I got -1.5. TCU's been sizzling. I mean, just hot as hell on offense this year, averaging 77.7 points. That's 54th in the nation. They're pulling down a ton of rebounds, 37.7 rebounds per contest. They move the ball around, 16.3 assists per night. On the defensive end, they've been great, allowing an average of 64.2 points per game, putting them at 49th in scoring defense. You said it, Mike Miles Jr. leading the team with 19.1 points per game. Just outstanding. I could keep going more and more into numbers on this team on how much I like them, but let's look at the Bulldogs really quick. 331st in the nation in scoring offense, putting up 64.8 points per game. They are 51st in rebounding, but that they're only getting one more board per game than TCU. I'm telling you, rebounding, we're going to look at about the same here. I'm not scared of that. It's just, and then they don't move the ball around as much either. 130th in assists. TCU, I think, is just flat out the better team. I think they're a better team who's played in a better conference. I think they've played better competition. This is one of the examples I was talking about here. I got TCU -1.5.
All right. What do you think here, Conor? TCU, Mississippi State.
Yeah, they have. Yeah, Lampkin's out, and this went to 2.5.
Questionable. Lampkin's questionable. He's not out for sure. He missed the last game against Oklahoma.
He missed the last game.
Okay, my heart sank when I said out, because what I read was, you know how cryptic they are, but I kind of thought he was playing today. But I don't want to say that and be wrong. So
yeah. Well, I'm not saying for sure he's in or out. All I know is they beat the shit out of Oklahoma without him. So clearly they showed they can win without him.
Right.
Yeah. But this bounce, this was 2.5 everywhere, just like an hour ago. And now it's come back down to 1.5.
Yeah.
But I think TCU is better too, just because Mississippi State good at home. They're going to have to lean on the defense. That hasn't stopped TCU, which is a team that's not crazy, I mentioned, but they just score very good in the paint, can score all the way around. You mentioned Miles. It's just tough for me to go against the Horned Frogs, the Horny Toads.
All right, Miami, Pittsburgh now in the ACC. We've got in this next matchup, it is Miami currently, there we go. 1 point road favorites, 147.5, 148 the total in this one. These are two teams that I backed them a couple of times, both of them, but I got to defer to Pitt. Pitt at home, just a home underdog here. They've been really good on the road, Miami. I get it. 6-1 against the spread on the road. They're off an impressive beat down over Florida State in their last. I mean, they have really been a covering machine on the road, but a lot of those have been dogs. As a favorite, they've 1-1 ATS. Remember, they also lost to Georgia Tech on the road as favorites. But Pitt at home, they had the win against Wake Forest. I think it's a really, really, this is an entertaining game for sure. Miami won both the meeting last year, 85-64. It was 79-73 Miami the year before that. Should be a really good game, but Pitt at home. Pitt's been even more of a moneymaker for me personally than Miami, but I've cashed with both of these teams throughout the course of the season. Do like my Pitt a little bit, +1.5. I think the game might get over the total as well. The previous two meetings have gone over. Miami, the last game with FSU, it was 149. The Syracuse game was 150. Pitt's kind of been trending over against a team that is good offensively and will push pace a little bit. And by the way, Pitt overall is 6-3 to the over in their last 9 games. So I like the over as well, 148 here. What do you think here, Conor? Miami, Pitt?
Yeah, I'm gonna stay off the side here. Miami's been good on the road, but I think Pitt here at home could get it done. I looked to the total. I just thought it was pretty sharp, 148 here. But I lean over. I think it can get over. If that's where I looked last night. I kind of circled this. I wish it was a few points lower, but yep, I think there's points.
So
take it away, Kev.
Yeah, so that's what I say. This game must have moved because I've got 2 bets on it. And I guess maybe one of them we can't get now. I have Miami first half plus half a point at -110. And then I have Miami full game -105 on the money line. So I guess those aren't available anymore. Did it move since this morning?
Yeah, it's right around money line for who, Miami?
Yeah, because I got the one that I'm more concerned about that I would like to give out if people can get it is the plus half a point for Miami in the first half. But is that not available anymore?
It is. Let me just see here. First half.
Sorry to put that on you. I guess I could have figured that out. But I mean, it's important, right? If we're going to do this, I don't want to give something to people they can't bet.
Yeah, it is still +1/2. +1/2. Yeah, it's still available at some books. Yeah, +1/2.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like. Mally said Miami is forever now. Dab. Look, I get it. I like this Pittsburgh team and I like this Miami team. I faded Pittsburgh last game with Wake Forest, and we already went over that. If I would have taken the points, I would have been good. I fucked up. I took the money line. Here's where it comes down to. And I'm going to, like I said, the game's on. I'm going to take just a second longer. Miami shooting well this season, 47.8%. That's 31st. They're putting up 78.2 points per game. That's 46th in the nation. On free throws. And on games like this, when it's going to come down to the wire, we always want to know about free throws. Free throws, 76.2%. That's 24th. They're doing great. They struggle a little bit from deep 3-point range, 35.2, but it's still above average at 122nd. They rebound a little above average. We know this team's not as big as we'd like, but still they rebound above average. 14.9 assists, so they move the ball around. This Miami team is just very solid on offense. Where you look at Pitt, they're above average in almost all categories, but they're not going to be on the same level. 74.4 points per game. That's 128th. Field goal percentage, 44.9%, 161st. Free throws, they do shoot well from the charity stripe. They're still a little bit below, but 44th in the nation. Anyways, I'll stop going all the numbers. What I'm going to get at is what I said against Wake, I still stand by in this team. In this game, a team that can spread Pitt out is a team that can beat Pitt. Pitt is a very good team, but if you can spread them out, they're vulnerable, I think. And I think Miami will definitely be able to spread them out. We all know how I feel about Isaiah Wong. So I got Miami first half plus a half a point full game on the money line.
All right, like in first half and full game here with the Miami Hurricanes. Should be a good game, though, with the way those teams have been playing this year. Nebraska and Maryland. We've got Maryland here at home laying a pretty sizable numbers you would expect, 11.5, 131. I almost did lay the points with Maryland because they've been that good at home. Like, they have been just absolutely outstanding at home. It's on the road where they've had issues, but I don't know if I want to lay this. I don't want Nebraska. I know that. I just don't want to go against Maryland on this home floor. They've been very good. They shoot a lot better at home. Defensively, they've been tough, and that could be trouble for Nebraska. It can be a little limited offensively much of the time. So it's a game I'm staying off, but it would be the double-digit favorite or nothing for me. What do you think here, C-Mac?
Yeah, I didn't want anything in this game. I'd lean under. Maryland, good defense. Nebraska just can't score. They just struggle to score. One thing they can this year is slower pace and play decent defense. So I was looking at the under here.
All right, Cab.
Yeah, I would. Again, this is actually a total that I think I would look at too, underwise. Nebraska, their injuries have this rotation looking weak. If you're looking at Maryland, I think I'd probably just go full game if you are going to lay the points with them. And if you're looking at maybe taking the plus points, I'd go with the first half with Nebraska. I'm off the game though, so I'm not going to go into it.
All right, next up here, we've got Clemson, Florida State, ACC matchup here between these two teams. Clemson laying 2, I believe now on the road. A lot of money's come in here on Florida State here at home in this game. And the total currently sitting at 142.5 across the board. I don't hate the move to Florida State. They were really rolling a little bit, certainly from a point spread perspective. They were prior to their last game, and then things kind of went awry for them against Miami. They got blown out big time by Miami, but bad home loss, playing at home in your next game, a team that had, prior to the Miami loss, been starting to play some better basketball. Can understand why there's some interest here in Florida State in this game. And Clemson's been awesome, but a lot of Clemson's awesome play has been at home. On the road, they've been a little bit more vulnerable. They did beat Georgia Tech, beat Virginia Tech, beat Pitt. So they do have some decent road wins, but they got blown out by Wake in their last road game. I understand why some people are interested in Florida State, but this is one where if you didn't get it at the opener, now I'd maybe pump the brakes just a little bit on taking Florida State. Maybe this game does go over the total as well, because you actually look at the series history. And Clemson, by the way, I think they're a lot better offensively this season than they've been at times in years past. And we know, as we saw against Miami, Florida State's defense can come and go. That's been the way it's been all year. But we've seen 5 straight overs hit between these two teams head-to-head. So Florida State, I was interested. I don't like it as much at 2, but at 141.5, 142, I think I might look over the total here. Connor, what do you think?
Yeah, I was going to grab this last night, 3.5. I looked up, and it was 2. Real quick. Galloway out. Hunter, I think, is questionable. I don't think he goes. Maybe he does. I have no idea there. Yeah, this seems just like the tough spot. Clemson been good all year long. They could prove me wrong. And Florida State just got steamrolled in the first half there. Couldn't hit a shot. And they were down 26-12. And it was just over from there. So, yeah, I didn't get the number. I'm going to pass now. But I'd still look at Florida State here at home.
All right, Cab.
Real quick, I want to shout out our guy Craig Wood. He said run up the likes. Hit that like button for us, guys. I know that there's been almost 300 people live in here. It's not hard to hit the like button. Everything we're doing is fucking free. We're giving you our best bets. We're giving you our plays. Again, everything we're doing is free. We got 150 likes with 60 people yesterday because we were doing dancing monkey type shit, like taking shots and all that. You know what? We're not doing shots right now. we're giving you winners and we're capping the card. So hit that like button for us if you can. We really appreciate it. Back to the game. Okay. My problem with Florida State is how much they've struggled offensively. Number 223rd in effective field goal percentage, 49.5%. Their offensive rebounding has also been poor, 256 in the nation. They've done okay creating turnovers, which is good. But just several things in this that give me pause to take the points here. Because Clemson's offense has been great. Clemson's offense, what is it? It's in the top 40. I know that. I have their field goal percentage right here. Effective field goal percentage of 53.8%, which is great. They have slowed down a little bit, but when you're laying points with the team, you want to know how they do on the free throw line. Clemson's hitting nearly 80% of their free throws. So if this game does come down to the end, we think we can count on Clemson to hit their free throws. But also they've struggled offensive rebounding, also 333. So yeah, I'm off this game, man. Too many variables.
All right, next up here we continue along. It is Arizona and Washington in this matchup here. Arizona is currently in this game as we take a look at the current line. Arizona is 9-point road favorites, 152 the total in this game. I don't have a strong feel for it. Arizona, I always want to back them, but they only got a push against Washington State. I thought they'd be charged up for that game, and they never got separation from the Cougars the other night. It was a close game throughout. I don't feel comfortable laying a full 9 with them, but at the same time, I don't know if Washington's cut out to match up well with the Wildcats either. So I'm off this game, side and total. I'm just going to leave it at that. I didn't really have much strong interest getting involved in it, especially now the number's up to 9. Maybe at 7, I'm interested a little bit in Arizona, but again, laying numbers on the road with them has been a little bit hit or miss. What do you think here, Connor?
Yeah, that's why I don't want it. Washington played them pretty tough. Arizona 70-67. Washington was kind of sliding. If they play better, it's usually here at home. I mean, if they do. Arizona State team that's struggling bad just beat them, and I was not on that, and I was a little bit pissed. But I want to take Washington. I can't get there. This team struggles too much. Sloppy with the ball. I can't take it, so I'm off.
All right, Cab.
Make sure I'm not muted. I got you. Now, Arizona covered if you got in the line before it moved, because I had Arizona first half full game last game, and they covered both for me. Just gotta say that because these lines move, so we got to get in there early. Because it opened at 5.5 and closed to 6.5. Was that what it was? Maybe. Okay. Anyways, Tabellis, man, he's been. And if I said his name wrong, I'm sorry, but I watched last game. It's been so much fun to watch. Look, I know some people everybody's all sensitive about bat flips nowadays and all this other shit. I don't care. He was throwing shoulders. He was talking shit, and I like seeing it, okay? He was having fun playing the game. He was getting in the other team's head. He's putting up 19.8 points per game right now, which is just crazy. When I talk about points per game with this Wildcats team, I'm going to say they score 115.2 points per 100 possessions. That's more important than just how many points per game because they push the pace like crazy. 17th in the nation per possessions. They're only surrendering 94.8 points in return, which is 29th in the nation. So this is just, a very good team. They had a little bit of a hiccup, I feel like. I'm off this game. I'm off the game with all that being said, but I would bet Arizona if I bet this game. I do bet Arizona a lot, which is probably why I know what my problem is. I need to be better at when I'm off a game because I don't feel like the team that I like is going to cover. I need to do a better job of taking the other side. I know I recognize that. I'm off the game though. Not me this time.
Oh, Texas and Tennessee. It's a rare slip up by yours truly. All right, next up, we've got Texas and Tennessee, SEC Big 12 matchup here, and this one should be a good one. We've got Tennessee, 5.5, 6-point home favorites, 134. I agree with the move to Texas. A team from the tougher conference. I mean, I like Tennessee a lot, but, Texas has really had a tough schedule. I think Texas has been battle-tested enough, and you're not asking them to win the game. You're asking them to hang tough. I think they can do that here on the road. They've certainly got the offensive capabilities, I think, to be a challenge and be a handful. An excellent defensive team, Tennessee. But look, Tennessee's not playing Georgia anymore and not playing LSU anymore. They're playing at least a little bit better of a team, and that's the thing that really stands out. Texas has been facing this juggernaut and this gauntlet in the Big 12, and Tennessee's played Georgia, LSU, Mississippi State, a slumping Kentucky team, Vanderbilt, South Carolina, Ole Miss. I mean, come on. What a joke of a schedule that is for Tennessee in SEC conference play. They haven't even played, Alabama or any of the really good teams in the SEC yet. I think Texas is live here. I like them plus points in this one. Don't trust Tennessee. I mean, you played a weak schedule. They're going to have to vindicate and validate their numbers, because to me, they've done it against crap competition. So let's see how they fare here tonight against Texas. I'm on Texas, though, plus points. Conor, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's too many as well. I want to see is this Tennessee team wins the fall a little bit. We all know it's in the tournament for sure with Barnes, but it's usually in conference too. But I think Texas come in there and hang around. I know Texas can score, but it won't be easy. I don't think, Tennessee at home. So, and I like the under here a little bit as well. So I'm looking at both.
All right. What do you think here, Cab?
Okay, so I would be an idiot not to mention the defense of Tennessee. I get it. Second at first in the nation, second, depending on how you want to look at it. Defense is outstanding. Again, I get that. So when I go into these offensive numbers, I understand how good this Tennessee team is. But you said it yourself, some of their competition hasn't been as up to par, and Texas coming out of that Big 12, we talked about the level of competition there. Tennessee right now, field goal percentage, 44.2%, which is 206 in the nation. They're all right on the free throw line, 73.3%, which is 110th. 3-point range, they struggle, 34%, which is a little above average at 184. They rebound very well. So, they play defense and they rebound. That's what's so scary about this Tennessee team. Texas, on the other side, they're putting up 80.5 points per game. This offense is, I'm going to go into these numbers. They're pretty electric. That's 23rd. Field goal percentage, 48.3%. That's 22nd. Free throw percentage, 75.1%. That's 44th. 3-point percentage is where they struggle. They do shoot 225th from outside. I would worry that Tennessee could push them out, but I think Marcus Carr is a good enough point guard to facilitate this and to push the ball in to keep them where they need to be. Even with this defense, I think Tennessee probably wins this game. I took Texas first half plus the points. I took them full game plus the points. Texas plays defense too. For anybody who doesn't think that this team can't play defense, you're wrong. This team plays defense also. So, yeah, I got Texas plus the points first half full game.
All right, good stuff. Next up, we've got Florida, Kansas State, another SEC Big 12 matchup in this one. We've got this should be a good one, actually. We've got Kansas State here currently a 4.5-point home favorite, 140 the total. I like the over here. I do. Kansas State, we know, can score. No doubt about it. The Tang Gang, as I like to call them. They're absolutely terrific, led, of course, by Marquise Noel. Florida, on the other hand, Florida's starting to play better as well. Let's keep an eye on this Florida Gators team. I thought they made a great coaching hire with getting Todd Golden out of San Francisco. Again, we're playing a little bit faster, and they're finally starting to get their offense on track a little bit here. We're starting to see as well. So that's a good sign for them. Kansas State, we know how they can light things up. They fell to Iowa State 80-76 in their last game. You're going to get, by the way, these two teams pushing the ball. Kansas State does. Florida does a lot more now, too, because of the coaching change. He brings that more up and down transition game style from San Francisco. So I like over the total in this game. I don't want to go against either side. These are two teams I like backing, and I've backed them a bunch this year. But right now, I would look over the total. Nothing on the side for me. Conor, what do you think?
I get it. I'm going to stay off the side. And I kind of lean Kansas State a little bit. I would kind of lay the points with them. I'm looking a little bit the other way. Kansas State can score, you're right. But Florida's been great to me, to the under. This team's been slow. They struggle to score, especially on the road at times. So I was looking at the under. It's just a lean. I want to hit a couple of guys up. Andrew, you know it, Harvard, plus 3.5. Take it. I think they might even win outright. Someone mentioned Brown. I'm leaning Brown plus 8 too. Sorry, I just wanted to throw that in there. These guys asking these questions. You muted?
They used to play those. Back-to-backs Friday and Saturday. Ivy League hasn't been playing on Fridays the last couple of weeks. So, but Brown and Harvard, I agree. I think Brown Cornell over is a good bet. But we'll get into some of those extra games later on if we have time permitting, because we've still got a bunch here. South Carolina, Georgia. I mean, this one I'm going to just say right away is a pass. Georgia 10.5 point home favorites. I'm not playing it with Georgia. I don't know if I trust South Carolina. There's really not much more to say other than that. I think in a game with two bad teams, total's gone up. Yeah, maybe both teams work out some of their offensive kinks against each other. So the over definitely makes some sense here a little bit in this one between these two. What do you think here, Connor Mack?
I can't take South Carolina. I don't want to lay it with Georgia. This is just a dead pass for me as well. South Carolina, don't know when they're going to show up. They can't score. So when that's a dog like that, man, don't want that dog. Dog's going to die.
All right. What do you think here, Cap?
No. Is that a good enough answer? No,
that's good enough. We can move on. Yeah, Gonzaga and Portland. That's perfect. Saves us time. All right, next up, we've got Gonzaga, Portland. Gonzaga laying a sizable number here on the road, 13, 163 the total in this game. Portland has burned me a couple of times now, so I can't say I'm rushing to back them here in this game, even though they're catching a sizable number at home. But Gonzaga's 0-5 ATS on the road. I mean, they've not been covering numbers on the road. I kind of lean Portland here, but man, they got destroyed by Loyola Marymount. They've got a bunch of injuries that they suffered earlier in the season. That being said, I lean Portland. I ain't laying 13 with Gonzaga on the road, winless ATS on the road this year. Especially in this West Coast Conference, they've been very, very sketchy laying big points. The over has cashed in 8 straight, by the way, between these two teams. And we just saw them play 2 weeks ago. What did Gonzaga win by 40? Yeah, 115-75. I like the over for sure in this game. But I still might look at Portland. When you get eviscerated like that, right, by 40 by Gonzaga, you want to make them. You have some pride in you. Portland might show up today, and again, Gonzaga's kind of been going through the motions on the road. They haven't covered a point spread on the road, so I'm trying to talk myself into Portland. I kind of want to see though if they're going to get any of their injuries back before I do, though. Connor, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't want nothing here. Pass.
All right, Cab.
Yeah, I think you said it. We've touched on it too. When Gonzaga gets into conference and gets into laying these big spreads, it's just like, what the fuck, man? Are they cruising? Are they not? I like that over that you guys are talking about though, because Gonzaga just knows that they can outscore everybody. They flat out know that they can outscore. I can't. Yes, their defense sucks a little, but how much do they even put into it? Just knowing the points that they can put up, right? Like, what is it? 86.5 points per game right now on 51.8% shooting. What the fuck, man? Like, that's outstanding. And then defensively, like I said, 297th, not even above average. They're below average on defense. Portland can score. This team is putting up 76.9 points per game. That's 66th in the country. They move the ball around well, 15.7 assists. They shoot solid percentage-wise, 45.7. Yeah, I like the over or nothing here. I'm not laying that many points with Gonzaga. I'm not holding on with Portland. I'd go over or pass.
All right, next up, we've got Syracuse, Virginia Tech, ACC matchup here. We've got Syracuse and Va Tech. Va Tech currently, it looks like 6.5 point home favorites, 140 the total in this one. I'm going to keep it simple, over the total. I mean, Syracuse has been going over the total. Don't look now. Virginia Tech starting to get their offense back on track. What an offensive showing they had against Duke in the win earlier this week. We were waiting for Hunter Couture to really show up again offensively, coming back from that injury. He did. The team overall is starting to jive offensively. Virginia Tech or nothing for me, but at 6.5's a little bit, more than I wanted, but that would be the lean for me as the Hokies. But I like the total more, over 140. Connor, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it could get over that number. I was looking at it last night. I think Virginia Tech wins here, another one at home where they win, but I don't want to lay 6.5. They need to really show it. They good win against Duke. They had to hang on there for the cover late. So yeah, tough one for me here. If I was getting a few more, I'd look to Syracuse. I'm off.
Pass for me. I'm about to be right back.
All right, next up, we've got Kansas and Kentucky. Another Big 12 SEC matchup, one of the big ones. I think this is the game that Dan Shulman and Jay Billis are doing for ESPN, so it's their big game today. We've got Kentucky 2.5-point home favorites, 140 the total in this game. Kentucky favored and Kentucky taking the money here in this game against Kansas. People are buying into the turnaround here for this Kentucky Wildcats team. And yeah, they have turned it around, sure. But Tennessee, Georgia, Texas A&M, Vanderbilt. Tennessee wins a pretty good win, a very good win to start the turnaround. They destroyed Georgia, destroyed Vanderbilt, who were kind of depleted, beat A&M, who were a pretty solid team. But I don't know. I mean, now you're favoring this Kentucky team, albeit at Rupp Arena. They're hosting against Kansas. And I know Kansas has kind of gone downhill, and people are seeing I think that's what this is. Kentucky's rolling 4 straight wins in their conference play, and Kansas has lost 3 in a row. But Kansas has lost 3 in a row to 3 of the best teams in their own conference, Kansas State, TCU, and Baylor. I don't think you can say that definitely Kentucky is, one of the or that Kansas has lost any of those games too bad. They're not bad losses, not a single one of them. TCU loss was bad in that they got blown out, but it's not a bad loss in terms of, wow, you lost to a bad team. TCU's been excellent. They are 0-5 ATS. I really don't have a strong feel for this game, but man, if this line creeps up a little bit more, and look, I think if you're Kansas, you show up today because these same 2 teams played last year, I think, as well in a SEC Big 12 matchup. Kentucky went into Kansas, Fog Allen, and destroyed them 80-62, and they were 5-point dogs. I think if you're Kansas, you better remember that and want to make amends for that. So I'm starting to lean in the direction of Kansas. The more this line climbs up to 2.5, might even see 3 before tip off. Haven't bet it yet, but slowly leaning toward Kansas. Just haven't decided if I'll get involved. I'm holding out hope for actually a 3 or better with Kansas here. What do you think here, Connor?
Yeah, I don't want this game. Kansas hasn't looked good. 3 straight losses. Do they come in here and step up? And Kentucky turning around, they're at home. I think they will eat down low too, but Kansas needs to hit shots. Dick and all these guys, if they do that, I think they're right in it. So that's why, I'm just off.
All right, Cab.
All right, so I am on this one, and this is one where I felt like you could look. I was about to tell you, I think you can get your 3. I was pulling up numbers for you. You can't. 2.5 is the highest I'm seeing still. Okay, so I took Kansas, and I took Kansas in the first half plus 1.5. I had to pay a little juice, minus 112, not much, but I took Kansas plus 1.5 in the first half. I have bought into this turnaround for Kentucky. I think Kentucky has turned around. C-Mac said it. Rob Free in the chat said it. Kentucky could dominate down low in the paint this game, which is why I'm staying away full game. I almost doubled up Kansas first half full game, but I didn't. Let's still just real quick in the numbers here. Kansas, 75.9 points per game. That's 81st in the country. 46.5% shooting. Yeah, free throw percentage is high enough, 72%. From 3, they've been good, 35.7%, which is 92nd. But I think it's going to keep going up with some of these shooters as they keep getting a little more comfortable. And I'm not talking about Dick. I'm talking about like McCormick and some of the other guys who I think have let them down a little bit these last 3 games. Really. Honestly, I think this is going to be a great game. I think either team could win it. And I think getting a 1.5 in the first half with Kansas is something that I just can't pass up. So I got Kansas first half plus 1.5.
All right, Kansas in the first half for Cab in this one. All right, Arizona State, Washington State, Pac-12. Next up here on the Saturday rundown, we've got, hold on here, the mouse is getting away from me here. There we go. All right, next up, Arizona State, Washington State. Washington State, 3.5-point home favorites, 131.5 the total in this game. Washington State played pretty tough against Arizona the other night. Pretty solid effort in defeat by them. Arizona State, meanwhile, comes into this game, continuing their back-to-back on the road. They lost in overtime against Washington. That's now 3 straight losses for Arizona State, 0-4 ATS as well. So we'll see if they can bounce back here against Washington State in this game. ASU, by the way, they've won and covered 3 of the last 4 head-to-head meetings against Washington State. And in their last visit to Washington State last year, they won outright as dogs, 58-55. I get it. Off an overtime game, there's a lot of angles that point to you don't want to back teams in that kind of situation. On the road, off a road game in overtime, their previous game, but I ain't laying 3.5 with Washington State. In fact, I kind of lean the other way, especially if this line continues to climb. What do you think here, Connor Mack?
The Arizona State just scuffling. But yeah, on the other flip, I don't want to lay 3.5 with Washington State. To me, stick with it. Could there be points and get over? Yeah, but I think this is under. Washington State just so slow. Bring it up slow. They hold it for forever. Milk this one. So I think this is under.
All right, Cab.
Yeah, I'm off this game. Like I said, we're going to try and keep it rolling because you guys know once I start reading numbers, I can just keep going. I always have the numbers. If anybody in the chat wants them, if you guys on screen want them, one thing I always have is the numbers in front of me. So just ask, but I'm going to just let it go.
We all got the numbers. So if anybody wants
okay. Well, shit.
No, I'm just saying. I mean, come on now. We can read the numbers.
It's one of those situations we love to hear the numbers.
I'm trying to give a reason for just saying fuck this game.
No,
Sorry,
just say fuck this game.
Yeah.
Just say pass.
Okay.
That's what you got to love about a Saturday show when you got so many games. I mean, you just can't say everything you want about every single game. It's just the way it is. It's if this was an 8-game card, and Cabby's going to be on Fridays moving forward on Net Profit with Conor, you're going to have an hour to talk about like 7 or 8 games. So you're going to have all the numbers. You can talk about every single number you want, basically, when you're talking on the Friday show, because, you need to fill time when it comes to that show. Ole Miss and Oklahoma State next up here. This should be an interesting one here. We've got slumping teams. Oklahoma State, though, laying 9.5, 131 being the total in this game. I mean, definitely I think this game could stay under. I like that a little bit. But as far as the side goes, I was looking to bet Oklahoma State just because of how miserable Ole Miss has been. I mean, they've been absolutely pathetic. But you're asking now to lay this kind of number with Oklahoma State. I'm not sure I'm fully ready to get on board with that. That being said, there's no case I can make for Ole Miss. They are wretched, offensively for the most part. Defense has kind of fallen apart in some of their recent games as well. They've been burning money for their backers. They're 1-8 straight up the last 9. Just a few too many points for me to want to lay, though, with the Cowboys. Lean Cowboys, but pass. Connor Mack?
Yeah, I was trying to make a case, too, for Ole Miss, and I can't. No way, no how, and I'm not going to lay 10 with Oklahoma State. They win. It's just, do you want to lay the number?
Yeah, exactly. All right, Cap.
Yeah, Oklahoma State, they've been good against better teams. Even though their record's not great, they've been good against better teams. Oklahoma State, 7-1 against the spread in their last 8 home games. Ole Miss 1-6 against the spread in their last 7 games. There, I'll leave it at that.
All right, next up as we continue along here, we've got, let me just see, Utah, Oregon. Here we go, Pac-12 matchup in this one. We've got Oregon 5-point home favorites, 137 the total in this game. I agree with the move to Oregon. I mean, we've seen them play well at home. We've seen enough vulnerability on the road from the Utes that I think they're capable of getting the job done here. I mean, the Utes did beat Stanford and Oregon State on the road, but played someone decent. They got blown out by UCLA in that game, and they got blown out by USC on the road as well. Oregon at home, you see what they've done. They beat Arizona and Colorado back-to-back home games. Money's moved on Oregon. I agree with that. By the way, Oregon, the last time they hosted Utah last year, they won by 13, a 6-point home favorite. So I agree with the move. Oregon for me as home favorites. Connor?
Yeah, I lean Oregon, but I don't want it. Utah, one thing they can bring is their defense. At least this team's been very good. So I was looking at this total. I lean under. I'm not, the series have kind of gone over, but I'm leaning under. All
right, Cab.
Yeah, I hate to go too contrarian. I like Utah in this spot just a little bit, but I haven't bet it. Utah only putting up 71.5 points per game, but of late they've been doing better. Like I just said, lately at the moment, they're scoring more than 75 points per game in their last few games, making 50% of their field goals. So Utah has turned it up a little bit. The Utah defense is outstanding, 61.5 points per game this year. They only gave up 44 points in their last game. It's fucking outstanding. And I hate Oregon. Everybody knows that. I don't like Oregon. I like Utah plus the points here, maybe plus the points in the first half, but I haven't bet it.
All right, we continue along here. We've got Ohio State and Indiana here in the Big Ten. We've got Ohio State Indiana 5-point home favorites, 145 the total in this game. Definitely, this has been there's been a lot of Big Ten teams this year. They've been a Jekyll and Hyde team, and these two teams have been poster child for that. I mean, Oregon State was rolling. Now they're can't get out of their own way. 1-6 straight up in ATS their last 7 games. Indiana rather is starting to play really good basketball again. They've won 4 in a row entering this matchup, even with some injuries like Xavier Johnson. And by the way, Logan Duncombe questionable as well, the center. We'll see if they fare well. But Trace Jackson Davis has been good. Race Thompson coming back from injury has helped this Indiana team. I'd only look Hoosiers here. I mean, Ohio State's been in a world of hurt. Indiana beat them last year on this floor 67-51. So it was a blowout loss for Ohio State on the road. They've been terrible on the road for the most part. Maryland, Rutgers, Nebraska, Illinois, 0-4 straight up, 0-4 against the spread. The last 4 road games for the Buckeyes. So Indiana -5 would be the look for me. Connor, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm going to be off here. Indiana have been better at home, and they can score. This number, those dropped a couple points. So I'd like the over, but Ohio State on the road's not the same at home. If they can score, then this will go over. So I was looking that way. I got to look at it a little more.
Gotcha. Here's what bothers me with this when it comes to like, because we all know a lot of this is, and I know a lot of people watch a lot, but I love watching these teams. This Ohio State team, what drives me crazy about it is they feel like they feel like they have all the parts, man. They feel like they should be a complete basketball team, and they're not. Hell, I feel like they should be a better team than Indiana. But for whatever reason, this Buckeyes team just isn't fucking fitting well together. I mean, Sensabaugh, Zed Key, like these, and there's been some injuries throughout it, but the Buckeyes, what? I kind of thought they'd respond last game, Illinois, right? And they didn't at all, like whatsoever. So it's hard for me to have any confidence in Ohio State right now, especially in a tough road environment. Jackson Davis has been just the last couple games out for heads. I can't back Ohio State here as much as I want to. I think that Ohio State's running out of time, and I think that if they can turn that corner, maybe they'll be bet on. But right now, no.
All right, we continue along now. We've got Vanderbilt, Texas A&M. In the SEC, A&M 9.5-point home favorites, 140 the total. It's kind of like Oklahoma State for me, where I kind of think I wanted to take A&M, but it's maybe a few too many points than I was looking to lay with them. Vanderbilt, I don't know if you can trust this group. They've been so debilitated as of late due to personnel issues and injuries and all kinds of things. It's tough to trust them to field a competitive team. I know they had the road win at Georgia. And they did cover at Tennessee and Mizzou. So the road dog rule's been kind of good for Vanderbilt. But boy, again, they're a little bit short-staffed, a little bit short-handed right now. A&M is starting to really play great basketball and rolling at the moment. Pass for me. I leaned A&M, but beware. Vanderbilt as a road dog has been covering some numbers. What do you think here, Connor?
Yeah, I'm leaning Vandy the other way. A&M's been pretty good at home. So I think in the end I'll be off, but I was looking their way. All
right, we've got next up St. Mary's and BYU here in the West Coast Conference. St. Mary's 6.5-point road favorites, 129.5 the total in this game. Certainly a sizable number here for St. Mary's, who have been obviously that team defensively is just absolutely fantastic, and they've been that way all season long. They're 3-0 on the road in their last 3 true road games as well. They're just looking extremely strong right now, and I certainly don't like what I'm seeing out of BYU. They've lost 3 of their last 4. The Pepperdine win at home was okay, but they failed to cover in that game. They haven't been getting the job done. You look at St. Mary's, might be able to stifle them quite a bit. BYU's covered 4 straight against St. Mary's. It's the one fear I have, but I really want to lay the 6.5, honestly, with St. Mary's, because I think they could win this game by, a little bit of a margin, even at, the Marriott Center here in Provo, because I just don't know if that BYU offense is going to work. And there is a gulf between these two teams defensively right now, not even close in terms of the defensive prowess of these two teams. So I definitely am interested in laying the points with the Gales. I might keep it a small bet, though, because the one fear is BYU, point spread wise, has done well in this series. What do you think, Connor?
I don't know if I can trust BYU. St. Mary's, like you mentioned, even on the road, has just been really good and good against the number. This one was tough for me. I'm trying to make a case for BYU, and I really can't. So I think I'll be off. Yeah, mute.
There we go. We got Nevada and UNLV. We only have 3 games left on the marquee games here. UNLV, 1.5-point home favorites, 140 the total in this one. I'm on another over in Mountain West play. I mean, over 140 for me in this game. UNLV at home. We talk about Nevada's kind of been up and down on the road, so maybe it's a good spot here for UNLV, who have certainly had their share of issues more and more as conference play has gone on. They are coming off a good home win against Wyoming, though. They've been an over machine, like I said, trending 7-1 to the over in their last 8 games. Nevada, meanwhile, 4 straight overs, and like I said, more than capable, I think, of seeing points in this game. So that's what I'm going to look at rather than a side, over 140 here. Lean UNLV, but I like the over more. Connor, what do you think?
Yeah, I wrote this down last night. I think it can get over as well. One thing, I like UNLV here at home. This team just can, at home sometimes, just bury me and look like shit. So it's tough for me to get on their side, even though I'm looking that way.
I'm in the same boat. I'm in the same boat. I'd be leaning UNLV. Haven't bet it. I mean, Rodriguez has done a good job. He's their senior that's been leading them pretty much. Gilbert's been well. I mean, this team's good. This team's got players. What are they, like, ranked like 80th or 83rd, depending on what you look at right now? They're putting up 107.6 points per 100 possessions. It's just, like you said, they shit sheets sometimes. I mean, they screw it up sometimes, and I don't want to be a part of that. So I'm out.
All right, we've got Cal and Stanford, the old rivalry here. Stanford, 10.5, 11-point home favorites, 128 the total in this game. Stanford, of course, has had, an odd season. They were horrible for a period of time, but they are starting to play better. I mean, Oregon State, they beat the Oregon schools at home and covered back-to-back. Kind of had a flat spot against Chicago State, sleepwalking, but they did enough to overcome it and win the game 72-65, but a wire-to-wire cover for Chicago State. I mentioned earlier this week how much I like that play, and Chicago State gets the job done. Cal, meanwhile, I mean, we had some fun cashing with Cal, but the last 2 at home, they get destroyed by Oregon. That's one thing to get destroyed by Oregon, but Oregon State to go into your building and beat you by 20, that really is not good if you're Cal. So maybe we got to pump the brakes on back in this team. That being said, Cal beat Stanford 92-70 just earlier this month. One of the worst losses Stanford's had all year. So will they avenge that loss? I don't know. It's a pass for me, but again, this many points, I'm tempted to take Cal, not tempted enough to bet it. Connor, what do you think?
That's how I feel. Fuck. I did card like this. I'm not going to take a shitty team that's trouble freaking scoring and put my money on it. I don't want it. So I'm off. We'll get to that, Don. Give us one. We got one more game, and then we'll hit that Rice UAB game.
But what do you think here, Cab? Cab's muted.
Yeah, when you look at how bad both these teams are at shooting, man, Cal 356 in the nation, and I think the thing for me is if Stanford was just, maybe a little bit better on offense, I'd be okay laying it with them against Cal, but they're not. I mean, both these teams are just terrible on offense. Stanford is 271st in the nation in scoring offense, so neither of these teams can score. I'm off this game.
All right, next up as we continue along, last of the marquee games here, Colorado and Oregon State in the Pac-12. We have Colorado here currently in terms of a favorite at, there we go, 7.5-point road favorites, 129 the total in this game. Oregon State, they can be feisty, a group at times, and we've seen them, at home, they're actually 5-5, 7-4 straight up, 5-5 ATS at home. The last game at home was ugly for them. They lost 63-44 against Utah. Before that, though, they covered twice in a row against the Arizona schools. Colorado now goes on the road after losing at Oregon 75-69 in their last game. I'd really like to back Colorado here if I could, but at Stanford, they won by 3. They lost outright at Cal. They lose straight up in ATS to UCLA, USC. They lose to Order. Road track record's not been good. Not been good enough to want to trust them here, even though I think it's not a solid bounce back spot here for Colorado, not with their road track record and not laying this many. So I'm off this game. Conor, what do you think?
Huh. I don't want Oregon State, man. This team, that first half the other day was so pathetic.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it was
I take the under. They're just dead under, even 129 here. I don't know. They break 60. Look at their team total under.
All right, Cab. Muted again.
Let's put him on blast. Since CMAC did it, let's put him on blast. 2 for 18 from deep in that first half.
Brutal.
I mean, just God damn, how bad. Anyways, yeah, I've said how I feel about Colorado, but when you look at the trends and you look at the numbers, Colorado's 6-1 straight up and 5-2 ATS last 7 times they've played the Beavers here. I think Colorado's just probably a little bit better team here. I'd only lay it with the Buffaloes, but I'm off this game. Everybody knows I hate Colorado, so I'll leave it at that. Not the state, the team.
There we go. All right. Exactly. No, don't hate the state. Yeah. Hate teams, not people and states and places. Yeah, exactly. All right. Unless they're really, really garbage and really, really slimy. Yeah. Really trashy looking places. Yeah, exactly. Then you can hate them. All right. Good stuff. That is the Saturday. That's the marquee games. Q&A always on Saturdays. It's tough because we got to finish within 2 hours. So we can't really go. I see a million questions about this Rice UAB game. I have nothing on it. I mean, UAB's in a little bit of a funk right now, but I don't trust Rice. I mean, I kind of lean Rice, but not enough to bet it. The overs have finally slowed down with UAB. They've kind of been trending under lately, so I'm off that game. Did you have anything there, Conor?
Me too. In the end, I need more points with Rice, and with UAB, no Walker. Unders have just been rolling. Without him, they seem a little bit lost out there. So, yeah, I'm off.
Yeah, that's the way I would look at it there. All right. In terms of games on the card, Conor, Mac, we'll start with you. Games we haven't talked about that you're liking. What do you like?
Yeah, I'm looking at Temple plus 6.5. Murray State as well. Tarleton plus 2.5. Here, Pepperdine over 151 in that one. What else did I have here? We did that under already. I think that might be it. I got a few extra board games. I'm looking at San Diego plus 3, Northridge, Irvine under, and the extra board. High Point, I'd like to take them. They've just been so bad, on the road as a dog. I think that's a few too many points. And I do like this under Austin Peay, Jacksonville State under 133. That's it.
I'd be careful there with Colgate. Lafayette's a good underdog, really good underdog. I mean, they've not been great laying points. Lafayette's been covering some numbers as dogs. I'm tempted by Lafayette there, plus points against Colgate. That's definitely one I would be looking the other way. I know Colgate's good, but Colgate's not always won by margin, and Lafayette's been really good as a dog. So that probably will make my card from the
real quick.
board.
Yeah, Mike, I'm just giving what I have last night, and I bet that at 6.5. Yeah. So I'm just letting you know what I bet it and reading it.
There you go. From last night. Yeah, there's going to be some line movements, especially for games. If you bet them last night, yeah, you're definitely going to see some movement there. I know I don't have to ask Cab about any games.
Whoa.
Or do you have some?
Whoa, there are a couple that I like, actually, for once.
All right.
I think Utah State is one of the most underrated teams in basketball right now that I enjoy watching. Maybe, obviously, they're not going to go up against bigger competition, but, only asking to lay 2.5 in the first half with Utah State, I like it. And I also think Butler getting plus a point or plus 1.5 against Seton Hall in the first half might be worth the look. There you go.
All right, excellent. All right, for me, Mercer, I like them against the Citadel. Northern Iowa, Indiana State over. Samford money line against Wofford. I'm just going to run through these. No analysis because we have no time for it. Columbia, Dartmouth over. I'm taking Monmouth. Monmouth's actually starting to turn the corner and cover some numbers and cash some tickets. I like Monmouth there, plus 11.5 against A&T. Rhode Island minus 5.5 against LaSalle. Bowling Green, Toledo over. Brown, Cornell over. And I like what Connor Mack was saying about Brown plus the points. I think that's a good look. Harvard plus 3.5. I agree. Harvard, Penn over as well. Texas State plus the points against Southern Miss. What else have we got here? Northern Colorado, Northern Arizona over in that game. Chattanooga, East Tennessee State over the total. Milwaukee, Northern Kentucky. I like Northern Kentucky. They're laying the points. Western Kentucky, Florida Atlantic over the total. Monroe, James Madison over the total. Richmond, Dayton. I like Richmond there, plus 9 against Dayton in that game. Duquesne's just better than UMass. I think Duquesne money line I like over as well there in that game. What else have we got? Let me see here. Hofstra Charleston over. I mean, that total's been smashed, but I fully agree with it, all the way up to 152.5. So Hofstra Charleston over the total there. Elon, going to go back to the well with Elon there, plus 6.5 against Drexel. William and Mary Towson. I almost took William and Mary, but I ended up staying off that. Southern Indiana, Tennessee Martin over the total. Weber State, Eastern Washington over the total. Pacific, Santa Clara. I took Pacific plus the points and the over there. Let me see what else here. Stephen F. Austin's moved a ton, but I agree with that. I got it at a better number. I'd be careful now at 5. I'm on UTEP plus the points against North Texas. I like North Texas a lot, but UTEP's been, covering some numbers as dogs. So I think that's worth a look there. Georgia State, Marshall over the total. Keep on going here. Utah Tech and Abilene Christian over the total. Colorado State, Boise. I like Colorado State there as a decent dog. What else going on? Omaha and Oral Roberts kind of lean over there. Didn't bet it yet, though. I mentioned Nevada UNLV over. That's about it from the main board. Montana State again. I took them, but again, 1.5 up to 4. There's been a big line move there. And on the added board, Stetson Queens over the total in that game. Holy Cross Army over the total. Bryant minus the points against Binghamton in the over. Lafayette plus 11.5 against Colgate. I like that a little bit. Radford, Upstate kind of disappointed me the last game against Gardner-Webb, but still might come back to them as a dog against Radford in that game.
They fell apart. They were in that game, though.
They were. So I'm tempted to come back there. Coppin State over the total with Maryland Eastern Shore. Lipscomb plus 4.5 against Kennesaw. And let me see. And NC Central Howard over 143. I believe that's it. Yeah, that's it for that. I almost played Bellarmine plus 6.5 against Eastern Kentucky as well, and I still might. Liberty, Florida, Gulf Coast. Liberty has actually been very good laying points this year, which is not always the case. They've been destroying teams. I don't trust Florida Gulf Coast fully there in that game. A lot of points. I'm not on Liberty either, but it's passed for me.
Yeah, I agree. I was looking at them. I'm going to be off.
Yeah, the New Orleans over, I don't mind that. Didn't bet it, but yeah, I don't mind it. Southeast Louisiana, New Orleans.
You on this Hofstra over?
I really like it, yeah. So does everybody else. That total.
Yeah, I know. I didn't mention that.
Yeah.
Okay.
But there we go. All right, good stuff. All right, we got to wrap this thing up in a few minutes, which we will do. Hit the like button. Come on, 307 live viewers. Hit the like button. Become a Pub Sports Radio Pub Club YouTube member. $4.99 a month. If you want more cash giveaways, contests, Pubapalooza events, that's how you help make it happen. Become a Pub Sports Radio YouTube member. $4.99 a month. And Pubapalooza 2, March 24 to 26 in San Antonio. It'll be a lot of fun. UFC San Antonio, poker tournament, par 3 golf tournament, Ratama Sports a horse track day. Lots of fun coming up 2 months from now, end of March, Pubapalooza 2 in San Antonio.
And we're going to have an infusion dinner. Just saying.
There you go. All right, excellent. And that's another reason to go and find your way to Pubapalooza 2 in a couple months' time. Looking forward to it. All right, we got best bets coming up from all three of us to wrap up the show right after we hear from Manscaped and Southtown 101. All right, Southtown 101. When you're in San Antonio, Texas, stop in. Great food, drinks, live music, DJs, karaoke, Southtown 101, and manscaped.com. 20% off and free shipping with promo code PubSports. All right, best bets to wrap it up for another massive college basketball Saturday. Conor Mack, best bets. Floor is yours.
Yes, so I'm gonna put this JP out. I'm gonna be on Brown too, but let's give the 3. I bet Harvard plus 3.5. I got to take it. I think they're in the game, can win it. Pepperdine over 151. It's Loyola. And we mentioned it with Cav here. Baylor, I took it last night, -3 first half. There we go.
Yeah, I didn't mention that one, but I agree with the over that he mentioned, Connor, there, Pepperdine and Loyola, Marymount. I think that's a good over. I am on that as well. I forgot to mention that when I was running down my 10 billion games that I bet today. On the card.
Give me a limit on, what's a best bet limit? I try and keep it at 3 to 5. Is 7 too
There's
many?
really no limit.
Do whatever
I
you
never
want, brother.
tell people. Yeah, it's whatever you want. So however many you want. I usually stick to one.
Here's what I bet today, then.
Yeah. Go ahead, Kev.
Here's what I bet today. I got Miami first half plus a half a point, -110. I got Miami full game, -105. I know what Pittsburgh's been doing. They've been a good team. I think Miami can take it. I got TCU minus a 1.5. You might want to just take the money line like Ian did there. I hope that doesn't bite me in the ass. I got Baylor first half, like C-Mac said. I love it. Baylor first half. I think our guy Tone, shout out to Tone Miggins, play of the day out there in the chat. I think he's on it too. Yeah. Baylor first half -3.5. I've got Kansas first half plus 1.5. And then my last game, I've got Texas first half. And full game. I took them plus the points first half, plus the points full game. So I know that line's moved since what I got, so I won't give you guys what I got, but I still like the 3 or the 3.5 first half or the 6 that you can get right now.
All right, there we go. So best bets there, a bunch of them given out right there by our guy Daby Cab here for this Saturday slate. My best bet for this card, I'm going to go to Texas Tech money line against LSU. I'm just one best bet. I could have gone in a bunch of different DePaul. I almost used DePaul, but there's still a part of me that's like, it's DePaul. Do you really want to make them a best bet? Although I really do like them today, plus 9.5 against Marquette. But I'll go with Texas Tech -135 money line against LSU. LSU sucks. All right, they're absolutely awful. There's no redeeming qualities about this basketball team. I still think Texas Tech is good enough, and they've had their lumps. They've struggled. They've been losing too, but they've done it in a tough Big 12. Tough opponents. This is a step down in class. This is a big step down in class for the Red Raiders, and I think they take advantage of it. Texas Tech -135 against LSU for my best bet here on this Saturday. All right, that'll wrap up this edition of the College Basketball Net Profit Show. Thanks to everyone in the chat for joining us. Hit the like button on the way out. We appreciate it very much. A reminder, Net Profit is back Monday to Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern. Connor and me for Monday to Thursday, and then Cabby comes in Friday. Starting this week at 5 p.m. Eastern time with Connor. So Net Profit, and we will be back here with you next Saturday, all three of us, 10 a.m. Eastern, for another edition of the College Basketball Pub Hub Show. For Connor Mack, Daby Cab, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Saturday. Cash some tickets. Let's make some money. Let's make some profits. And we will be back next Saturday for another edition of the College Basketball Pub Hub Show right here on Pub Sports Radio.